Yeah, I was going to do something to do with an invisibility joke here by standing off to the side of the camera, but I got here and then I just realised I don't even know what to do anymore. When Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by someone and that nobody can see. So The Invisible Man was a movie that I was quite looking forward to, as this was the return of the Universal dark universe, I guess you could call it. This movie really has no connection to the dark universe whatsoever, but what excited me most about this is not only were they returning to doing films about the Universal monsters, but also is that this film was produced by Blumhouse, who is one of my favourite studios in Hollywood right now. Yeah, they may not be the best studio ever, but they produce fun films, and I was really excited to see that, and I was really excited to see Jason Blum get his hands on this project. Of course, you can see my Jason Blum up there. But what excited me even more about this is after I heard that Blumhouse had acquired the project, is that they had actually hired Leigh Whannell to direct this film. Leigh Whannell directed Upgrade previously for Blumhouse, which is one of their best films, and I was really excited to see what he was going to do with this film. So I'll start off with Leigh Whannell himself, and he's really the star of the show for me with this movie. I think that this really upped his game as a director. I thought he was a really great director for Upgrade. That movie was really good and he really impressed me there. But The Invisible Man was an even more of a step up. This movie works on a bigger scale. This movie has a bigger cast. This movie works a lot more with VFX. Whereas, to be fair to Upgrade, while it was a bit more of a sci-fi film than this, that film was very practical in everything it did. This movie does have a lot more CGI going for it, especially because of course it involves an invisible man. And that is a really cool way that Leigh Whannell actually directs in this film, because his camera movements are very unique to him and they blend themselves really well into this style of film, which kind of plays more of like a psychological thriller rather than a horror. While there are horror elements in this movie, which of course Leigh Whannell does come from a major horror background with things like Saw and the Conjuring franchise, you can still see that this film is really playing in more of a psychological era, which I really liked. And I think that Leigh Whannell, he just is proving himself again and again now as a really talented director who, with the right material and with the right budgets, can really do some great work. And Elisabeth Moss, who plays Cecile and is the lead of our film, is a real, true standout here as well. Elisabeth Moss is an actress who's kind of gone over my head recently. She just hasn't really been in much that's come across my personal radar, but she was amazing in this, really great. Like, she really impressed me with how really just absolutely terrified she was able to portray. And also, she walks a very fine line in this movie of being absolutely terrified, but also looking absolutely insane. Especially because most of the characters in this movie think she's insane, and when you watch the movie and you watch her acting and her portrayal of Cecilia, you completely get why. Like, she seems like she is completely just gone and is obsessed with this idea that someone's trying to kill her when they're not, because no one else can see it. And I think that she does a brilliant job of portraying that. Also, special shout out to Aldis Hodge. He was really good in this. I was really excited to see him in this. He was in What Men Want, which was a movie I absolutely hated. It was one of my least favourite films last year. But he was really good in that, and he was really good in this as well. He gets a lot more screen time, and that was nice to see. There's also some really nice shots and cinematography in this movie. I was quite impressed. There's a lot of really cool shots in this film that really hint towards the Invisible Man and his presence. Like, there are a lot of big wide shots in this movie where Elisabeth Moss will be on one side of the room and then the other side of the room will be completely blank and bare, and that would normally be a sign of just, why don't they just move the camera more focused and more central? But when you realise, oh, that's where the Invisible Man is, he's in that corner of the room as well, it kind of adds a bit more depth to it and it just adds a bit more of a scare factor to it, which actually makes it really entertaining and kind of bone-chilling at times, which is really fun, and a lot of that comes down from the cinematography. Now, I've seen a lot of people online referring to this movie as a modern horror masterpiece, and I think that is way above what this movie should be referred to as. While this movie is good, I think it is very good, and I very much enjoyed it, this movie is by no means a masterpiece. This film, it's developed by Blumhouse, by Leigh Whannell, who's still a pretty new director. This film, while very good, and again, it has so much talent within it, it's not a modern horror masterpiece. Like, if I'm comparing this to something like The Shining, it just doesn't even come remotely close. If I'm comparing this even something more recent like Hereditary or Midsommar, I don't think it's there. This movie does still have a lot of dumb moments within it, because that's kind of what a movie like this lends itself to. And to be honest, if this movie didn't have those dumb moments in it, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much, because again, I went into this expecting a Blumhouse movie. Blumhouse did produce this at the end of the day, and I know you could say, well, Blumhouse produced Get Out and they produced Us and things like that, which is true, but Blumhouse, they find their feet in these really wacky and kind of dumb horror films, and I think that those elements, if they weren't in this movie, it wouldn't have the same personality that it has. And while this film is a big step up in comparison to many other Blumhouse horror films, if you just look at like Unfriended or Truth or Dare or anything like that, this is leagues above that. It's still not quite the modern horror masterpiece that some people say it is, because it has got a lot of dumb moments and it does fall short in a few areas, but I understand when people are getting really excited about it and really enjoying it. I just don't think it's quite there for me personally. But speaking of Blumhouse though, I genuinely believe this is one of their best films. I think you can chuck this up there with movies like Upgrade, like Us, like Get Out, as being one of their true kind of standout films. Like, this is one of their films that is just, as far as the horror genre is concerned, it's definitely one of their best. And I think that Leigh Whannell has just cemented himself really in Blumhouse and also with Universal to direct a few more movies for them, and I can definitely see Leigh Whannell going up in the ranks. You know, I could even see him getting offered like a Marvel project or something like that. He may not get it, but I can see him being offered it at least. So I think that this film is doing a lot of good work in that regard for Blumhouse, and I think it's just proving Blumhouse as a legitimate studio. Obviously, Jason Blum is one of the most clever producers in Hollywood. He just throws 5 movies at the wall, hopes one of them sticks, and if one of them does, it makes the budget back of all of them combined. And that is a very good business model for Hollywood to work with, and I think that this is just, again, further legitimizing him as a producer and Blumhouse as a really great studio within Hollywood. And I think that The Invisible Man, it's made for an incredibly small budget for a movie of this size, and it's actually doing incredibly well already, so there's no doubt that we're going to see maybe a sequel or more movies in this universe. Maybe Universal's going to try and reboot the Dark Universe with Blumhouse at the core. That would be amazing. I would love to see that. If they want to reboot the Dark Universe and just hand it off to Jason Blum, make Jason Blum the Kevin Feige of the Dark Universe. That's what I'd say happens here. But anyway, really good that this movie is doing a lot of great work for not only Leigh Whannell, but also Jason Blum and Blumhouse as a studio. Overall though, I enjoyed The Invisible Man. I think this movie is a lot of fun. It's a really great horror film. Again, it's really spectacularly directed by Leigh Whannell. It's really greatly acted from Elisabeth Moss. And this film does a lot of really great work with shots and cinematography to really make it this really creepy, really eerie, spine-chilling horror film, and also borderline psychological thriller. While it may not be a masterpiece like some are saying, it's still a really great horror film and easily one of the most fun experiences I've had at the cinema this year. I've really had a great time with this, and I think that you will too if you eventually go see the movie, and I definitely recommend that you do. So have you guys seen The Invisible Man? If you have, make sure to let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Were you a fan of it, or were you not a fan of it? Make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always guys, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.